Here's something funny to start with. A man who claimed to be the greatest flat Earth scientist once built a homemade rocket and launched himself into the sky to prove the Earth is flat. His rocket went up only about 200 meters before crashing, and he tragically lost his life. This wasn't a joke, it really happened, and you've probably heard about it. But believe it or not, millions of people around the world either believe the Earth is flat or at least doubt that it's round. In this video, we'll first look at some of the humorous and entertaining arguments flat earthers make, and then we'll explain a few extremely simple reasons that prove the Earth is actually round. Humanity has traveled into space, visited the moon, and is now planning to build permanent settlements on Mars, yet some people still insist that Earth is flat. Today, flat Earth theory has become one of the most famous conspiracy theories, and its supporters reject all scientific evidence. The real question is, if the Earth is flat, then why don't we fall off the edge? One of the leading flat Earth theorists once answered this question by claiming that the Earth is shaped like a diamond and supported by giant pillars. He even compared it to the classic Pac-Man game, saying that just like how you can walk off one side of the maze and appear on the other side, the same thing happens on Earth. According to him, a magical portal prevents us from falling into space. He used physics terminology to argue that the fabric of spacetime wraps around us and creates a Pac-Man effect. Flat earthers often say that when they look at the horizon, everything appears flat and they cannot see any curvature. They argue that if the Earth were round, oceans and seas should clearly show a curve, but since the water looks flat to the naked eye, they believe the Earth must be flat. Many flat Earth supporters also claim that NASA and space agencies fake all images and videos of Earth as a globe, supposedly to hide the truth from the public. Some believe that airplane routes are always straight, which they say proves the Earth is flat. In their view, if the Earth were a sphere, planes should constantly fly in obvious curved paths. Others argue that the angle of stars in the sky does not change enough when traveling, and they claim this would only happen if the Earth were flat. Some flat earthers even try to prove their theory through personal experiments, such as looking at the horizon with a telescope from different locations and insisting the Earth appears flat. But what they overlook is that all of these observations are either incomplete or simply incorrect. Modern science, through satellite photos, physical observations, and countless experiments, has already proven that the Earth is round. You might be surprised, but around 10% of Americans find these flat Earth arguments convincing. However, anyone with even a basic understanding of physics can easily recognize how weak and often laughable these arguments truly are. There are several simple facts that make the curvature of Earth undeniable. One of the easiest things anyone can observe is how objects disappear behind the horizon. When a ship sails away from shore, the lower parts disappear first and the top parts are the last to vanish. If Earth were flat, the entire ship would remain visible, only shrinking in size. This observation has been made for thousands of years and remains perfectly consistent today, even with powerful zoom cameras that clearly show ships disappearing behind Earth's curve, not because of a strange visual illusion. The curvature also becomes obvious during a lunar eclipse. When Earth passes between the sun and the moon, the shadow cast on the moon is always round. Only a spherical object can cast a round shadow from every angle. If Earth were flat or shaped like a polygon, the shadow would sometimes appear straight or have edges. But that has never happened. Even ancient Greek astronomers used this as proof that Earth is round. Another clear sign is the way stars shift in the sky. If you travel north or south, you'll see new constellations appear while others disappear. This only happens if the Earth's surface curves. On a flat Earth, everyone should see the same sky. Yet in the northern hemisphere, the North Star is visible, while in the southern hemisphere it cannot be seen at all. This is impossible to explain with a flat Earth model. Flight paths also reveal the truth. Airlines use what are called great circle routes, the shortest paths between 2 points on a sphere. That's why many long flights curve over the poles, they're faster that way. These routes make no sense on a flat map, but they make perfect sense on a globe. The same logic applies to ocean navigation, which has been based on Earth's curvature for centuries. Time zones and day-night cycles are other things flat Earth models cannot explain. Earth rotates, meaning that different parts face the sun at different times. That's why it can be daylight in one country and nighttime in another. A flat Earth cannot create sunrise, sunset, seasons, the equator, or 6-month-long days at the poles. All of these only work on a spherical planet with a tilted axis. Gravity also forces large objects in space to become round. When a massive object forms, gravity pulls equally from all directions toward its center, creating a spherical shape. This is why planets, stars, and moons are round unless something extreme distorts them. Earth had billions of years for gravity to shape it into a stable sphere. On top of all this, there are countless satellite images and measurements collected over decades by countries around the world. No single organization controls all this data. GPS navigation, satellite communications, weather systems, and global mapping all rely on Earth being round. If the Earth were flat, GPS would fail instantly. It simply wouldn't work. Yet billions of people use it every day without issue. In the end, the roundness of Earth is not a complex theory or a philosophical idea. It is a simple reality confirmed through everyday observations and advanced scientific tools alike. From disappearing ships to satellite trajectories, from lunar eclipses to shifting constellations, all evidence points to one conclusion: the Earth is undeniably round. Even without modern technology, simple daily observations would still lead us to the same result. While the idea of a flat Earth and a flashlight sun may sound absurd and comical, the surprising part is how many people still follow these theories online. In today's age of endless information, it is astonishing that such beliefs continue to spread. But before we wrap up, it's worth revisiting the story of Mike Hughes to see how irrational beliefs can cloud human judgment and ultimately destroy someone's life. Mike Hughes, known as Mad Mike, was a man who lost his life trying to prove his personal belief that the Earth is not round, but flat. He died during one of his homemade rocket launches after the craft malfunctioned and crashed. This incident occurred in 2020 during his third launch in one of his self-built rockets, which he intended to use as part of his final project to ascend into the sky and observe the shape of the Earth for himself. For this launch, a metal ladder had been attached to the rocket's ramp to help Hughes climb into the cockpit more easily. However, when the rocket lifted off, the ladder struck the craft and instantly set the launch on course for disaster. The impact caused Hughes's parachute to deploy prematurely at the very beginning of the launch, slightly altering the rocket's trajectory. Less than a minute later, the rocket carrying Hughes crashed into the ground. Before this fatal accident, Hughes had attempted 2 similar launches. In March 2018, he reached roughly 1,875 feet, 571 meters, above the Mojave Desert before his parachute deployed and the rocket descended. He survived the landing with only minor injuries and later said he had experienced back pain. Hughes had also successfully launched himself into the air once before, in 2014 in Winkelman, Arizona, reaching an altitude of 1,374 feet. Before pursuing his plan to reach space to investigate the flat Earth theory, Mike Hughes worked as a stuntman. He even held the Guinness World Record for the longest limo jump off a ramp. Flat Earth researchers have conducted numerous experiments in attempts to prove the Earth is flat. In several of these tests, the results clearly demonstrated that the Earth is spherical, and some of them even openly admitted it. Yet despite these outcomes, the strange theory persists, and many people still insist that the Earth is flat.